You know, they say everybody's got 1,000 problems until you get a misspelled word tattooed on you. Then you only have one problem. I don't think anybody says that except for me, because it happened to me. Hang out for a minute. Let me tell you about it. The worst thing to ever happen to you will not always be the worst thing to ever happen to you. This is in part because it will likely be eclipsed by some future unknown terrible thing that you cannot even fathom right now, and I'm sorry about that. But even that thing will be eclipsed by the big thing that happens to all of us at the end of this thing. But it is also in part because every worst thing that ever happened to me actually turned out to be a good thing. This is a story about one such terrible thing. At 25, I found myself squarely in the throes of a quarter-life crisis, centered around the brutal fact that my hardcore band had broken up. Now this may sound petty and trivial, but to me it was a clear and indisputable sign that I was not destined to be famous, and there was nothing particularly special about me. I'm not a religious man, but I believe that we believed in the success of that band like young people at church camp believe in God. We had embarked on a 5-year pilgrimage across America, proselytizing the gospel to mascara-clad teenagers in strip malls and legion halls. I sang our hymns in bowling alleys and rec centers until I literally formed polyps on my vocal cords. I converted hundreds, if not thousands, to our congregation. And somewhere near Salt Lake City, we realized that our faith was just a story that we had sold ourselves. A cool story, but the evidence laid out before us made it pretty clear that we were no miracle, nor were we miracle workers. Just some boys in a van convincing kids that we were cool enough to buy t-shirts and CDs from, and every trip out felt like it was getting harder and harder to do, so we called it, and the fallout was comically anticlimactic. I moved into a big Koreatown art house that I found on Craigslist. For $450 a month, I got a walk-in closet that I could just barely fit my twin-size mattress in addition to the space that was underneath the stairs that was just big enough for an IKEA desk and my folding chair. I spent hours in there every day doing my community college homework between going to the gym and going to work at an Asian fusion restaurant on Sunset Strip, where I regularly served people living the dream that I thought I was destined for, slinging Chinese chicken salads to rock stars going out to lunch with big label A&R. For me, it was a fate worse than bad. It was average, forgettable, uninteresting, and bleak. When a young man is in a state like this, he is particularly susceptible to the allure of one grand performative gesture that he is sure can transform him in some meaningful way. In my case, I was convinced I could turn everything around with a big fucking tattoo on my chest. Now, I believe that there is still some mystery and magic in this world, and while it is scarce, it can be found in places like tattoo shops and jiu-jitsu mats, and sometimes the ass-kicking that you get isn't the one that you wanted or deserved, but it is the one that you needed all along. And when I booked that appointment, I got exactly what I had coming to me. There was a hasty exchange of emails and references. There were multiple stencils sized up, wiped off, and then sized up even bigger. There was a waiver. Of course, there was a waiver. Then there was the sweet 3 hours of stinging, tingling pain that can only be escaped by thinking about how fucking cool you get to look for the rest of your life when you take your shirt off. When it wrapped, I squared up with myself in the mirror, and from behind my shoulder I heard my tattoo artist say, "Damn, it looks like we just stamped it on there." He draped me in Bactine and plastic. I handed him a stack of cash plus 20%, and I headed home to get cleaned up for my shift that night at the restaurant that I planned on working, conveniently missing the top 2 buttons of my dress shirt. When I got home, I bolted up the stairs into the doorway of one of my roommates, who was a practical stranger working on his second novel, and I waited for him to react, and he did. At first, exactly the way I had hoped for him to, and then exactly the way no one hopes for. At this point, it is probably important for me to tell you that the tattoo simply consisted of 6 words, because at this point, he had the unfortunate job of telling me that one of the letters in one of those 6 shiny new words was wrong. One wrong letter in a text is no big deal. One wrong letter in a tattoo is a big fucking deal. There was the feeling of blood draining from my face, of wanting to throw up from shame and then from rage. There was looking over the email exchange where I had spelled everything correctly. Then there was the realization that blaming him didn't change the fact that I had a misspelled word tattooed on my chest and I need to be at work in an hour and a half. I called the tattoo shop and explained the situation to my artist, who was remarkably unapologetic. He blamed everything on his apprentice. I guess that's part of being an apprentice. He told me there was only one thing he could do, but I had to come immediately and it was gonna suck. Like bad, like it was gonna suck really bad. When I got to the shop, he shuttled me deep to the back, out of view of any potential walk-ins. He then proceeded to blast over my hours-old tattoo with a mixture of salt water, lemon juice, and Vaseline. Just the one letter, though. He told me to do everything that you're not supposed to do to a new tattoo, that the skin would start to reject the ink and to pick out any scabs that started forming. He said to do this every 2 weeks until the wrong letter was just a cloudy scar, and then we would tattoo over it with the right one. I then got in my 91 Nissan pickup, drove directly to my closing shift at the restaurant where I told fucking no one. Let me tell you, everyone has 1,000 problems until you get a misspelled word tattooed on your chest, and then you only got one problem. All previous failures, the band, the shitty job, the remedial community college classes, the sleeping in a literal closet, they didn't feel like problems compared to the immediate problem tattooed into my chest. Over the next 2 months, I diligently met with my tattoo artist for our bi-weekly torture sessions. In those 2 months, I carried so much shame from the problem that I had made, it felt unbearable. It seemed like I was the kind of person who just made problems for myself over and over again. But when it was over, and when he finally put the right letter back in, I was someone different. I was the kind of person who could endure terrible things to fix the problems that I created. And I was a better person because of it. 2 months after all this, I moved into my own apartment. 2.5 years after that, I got into UC Berkeley. 2 years after that, I graduated with honors. 18 years after what I thought was the worst thing to ever happen to me. Never, and I mean never, has a single person noticed the smudge in the tattoo on my chest. But it always reminds me of what I was capable of surviving to fix it. Here, check it out. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it?